Hi, I'm Karie Kaufmann. I'm here today with Todd, the owner of Miller C&C. Thanks for being with me today, Todd.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
Todd's been a client of mine for, a couple years now.
A little over 2 years,
and you've made a lot of significant changes to your business. I just wanted to talk about that because I feel like you've done a lot of things that a lot of business owners hesitate to do, maybe for a lot of different reasons. And one of those is how significantly you've upgraded your team. So going back a couple of years, as I recall, you were constantly missing the goals, right? Perpetually frustrated. They should have been attainable, yet they weren't, right? Despite your trying to control it all, it just wasn't happening. So talk about what that was like and what you learned from it.
Yeah, so we set aggressive goals. We backtracked the goals to make them more conservative, based on the fact that the team couldn't perform, to hit the aggressive goals. So constantly frustrated, constantly missing goals, missing deadlines, missing revenue goals, being unprofitable, pumping money into the business, extending terms with our vendors, just a bad situation altogether.
Yeah. So you knew there was a couple of people who were not a good fit on the team.
Yeah.
And eventually you kind of gained the confidence that you had to make those changes, even though, it was a little bit of nerves or fear along with that. So what was it like to make those first couple of big decisions?
Yeah, it became a situation where we just weren't a viable business. Like I said, we're missing, you can't operate forever with no profit. The money has to be there to pay the people, to pay the vendors, to pay myself. And it was just constantly log jamming through 2 or 3 people, and they just weren't capable of getting things done, on a timeline or on a budget. And
despite working with them and coaching them and training them and setting expectations, and
exactly.
They still weren't rising to the occasion.
We tried everything, gave them every opportunity we possibly could, and then eventually it was just, it was 2 bad choices. Either we let these people go and replace them with someone we hope is better, or we just close the business down, and then I'm out trying to find a job or something else.
Right, yeah. So you did. You upgraded a couple of team members. You brought in some A players.
Yep.
And I'll never forget what that was like when you came in and you're like, oh my gosh, this is working. Like the light came back in your eyes, that you could see a hope that the massive difference it was when you had the right person in those roles, right? So
it's funny. We let someone go, hired someone else in a key position, and like the second day, it was like, oh, he's already up to speed. He's already performing better than the old person, and I'm not anxious anymore. I'm not scrambling around all day trying to figure out what problem to solve. It's the guy's capable of solving his own problems, and he's improved every single day since.
Yep, absolutely. And then from there, the way I think about it is like when you paint one wall in a room and you don't notice how bad the other walls look until you paint one. And then all of a sudden you start to see maybe the dinginess or, the lack of refinement in the rest of it, right? So then from there, it kind of started this journey of upgrading the team. What did you do next?
It was funny because all of a sudden there's an example of an amazing performer with a great attitude, perfect culture fit. He enjoys the job. He's a great fit for the job. And then all of a sudden you start seeing, okay, well, this person over here all of a sudden has the spotlight on them because now they're the weakest link in the team. And we had an 89% turnover last year, and we didn't fire very many people. Most of them left, including people we thought were B players that we were coaching to become A players, and they just couldn't handle the improvements and the new standards that we were living up to as a result of bringing in true A players.
Yeah. So as you raise the standard, some people choose not to come with you.
100%.
This wasn't Todd coming through with a machete, right?
No.
This was they were deselecting themselves because the culture was going in a certain way, the productivity was going in a certain way, and that just wasn't where they wanted to be anymore, right? So what happened as a result of that? Tell me about your results just over the past year.
So just over the last year, like I mentioned, the 89% turnover, we replaced, I think, 2 key people with people from the outside, moved a couple other people up into key positions, 32% increase in revenue with no capital investment, just purely only the personnel changes. Profitability was 500% better, some crazy number. We're all working less, we're all happier at work. It feels optimistic. Like we could see the light at the end of the tunnel, where before I'm coming into work thinking, oh no, what am I going to deal with today? What customer is going to yell at me for this? What vendor is going to yell at me because we're not paying them? Oh, we have payroll this week. We don't have enough money for it. And the challenges have totally changed. There's still cash flow challenges and everything, but now it's how do we grow? How do we how do we increase our on-time delivery to win this big contract? And
solving higher quality problems, looking forward instead of trying to get out of pain.
Feel much more like a business person compared to like a daycare center operator.
And one of my favorite parts of this is how much everybody's enjoying the process. And we've done a couple of feedback surveys with the team to grow, and like the most recent one that you did, polling different team members, and you asked them, why do you come to work? And not one of them said for the paycheck.
Which is surprising because fundamentally you work for money to pay bills and enjoy your hobbies and stuff. But that's definitely not the most important thing for our team, which is pretty cool. And we pay them well. I put a high priority on making sure they're paid well because they're the best performers we can get. So,
well, one of your goals is to be the premier machine shop to work for,
right?
So you've done a lot of work in the culture and how we take care of people and just making sure that they're enjoying their time there, and that's showing. It's showing in how much fun you're having. It's showing in the profitability. So, congratulations.
Everything's better with the right people.
That's right.
And it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You have the right people, they do the right work, they do it well, they attract more A players. Our customers are happier. They provide us more orders, and so it's a fun challenge now versus a miserable challenge.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing your story. And I know a lot of other business owners have been thinking about making some of these changes. So I encourage you to do it, to focus on those team players, developing them internally, bringing in people that can completely change the face of your business and just make it more fun and more profitable. And that's what a great team can do. So thanks again, Todd. Appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yep.
Take care.